It's the Redirect Podcast, search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 66 of the Redirect Podcast. It's Friday, January 25th, 2019. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing. Joined this week by Patrick from the Black Truck team. Hey, Patrick.
It's snowing heavily.
Our high this weekend is 11.
Yeah, 11.
With a wind chill of, I don't know, minus double digits. I think it's that.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it's going to be bitter.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know, we are in Michigan, and we are recording in the West Michigan region of Grand Rapids, and winter has decided to finally join us just in the past couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah, we're not complaining. We're just making statements right now.
Yep, so it's cold.
Yeah, we understand here as Michiganders that it's cold in the winter.
Yes.
It's warm in the summer.
And we're fine with that.
We are.
All right, cool. So a couple of good things to catch up on here. There's a couple new pieces coming out of the Googleplex over the past week or so that I wanted to try and touch on myself. I know, Pat, you've got a couple things here, so we'll try and get right to it. So Google I/O, the famed Google I/O annual conference, if you will, Meeting of the Minds for Google, is scheduled for May 7th through 9th at the Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View, California. And that was a cryptic transmission message that went out. Pat was trying to listen to me earlier in the office trying to figure out what the hell it was I was watching, but there was a cryptic video message that got put out, events.google.com/io/transmission, and it's a video that is basically figure this out, figure the dates out, and whatnot. So
interesting. Yeah, it didn't sound like a normal video that you.
No. So May 7th through 9th sounds like maybe the keynote will probably be on the 9th, which is when kind of all the new developments and whatnot comes out from Google devices and their focus and everything like that. So it's something that we always tune into every year. So be on the lookout to that, and we can link off to that in show notes as well. But the big thing that I am going to be talking about here that I kind of really want to cover is something that came out just in the last, I would say, 24 to 48 hours, and that's that Google is telling some of their advertisers that it will handle campaign management for them.
I saw that sneaking around, and I figured that's what you were going to be talking about.
Yeah, so you shied away from it?
I didn't even read it, because I figured you were going to tell me all about it.
It's basically the headline that came out in some of the emails is, we'll focus on your campaigns so you can focus on your business. And that came out to some advertisers receiving that this week from Google Ads. Google Ads, the platform formerly known as Google AdWords. They've really, as we know, been introducing a lot of automation, just to, anything from campaign creations and management. So I'm even kind of referencing some talking points here that Jenny Marvin from Search Engine Land covered. She did a great job on this, but if you look at everything like ads added by Google, smart campaigns, local campaigns, these are all things that they've developed. Universal app campaigns, responsive search ads, smart bidding strategies, etc. So what's interestingly, the part about this is that they're supposedly bringing in a Google Ads expert to manage campaigns behind the scenes. The thing about that is that technically is what your PPC practitioner, your expert, air quotes expert that you're working with, that's what they should be doing as well, right? On your behalf, that's in your best interest. Now, the problem with this is this is an auto opt-in. So you need to check your email. So whatever email is associated with your Google Ads accounts, you need to be checking that, because otherwise all your campaigns, your accounts will be auto opted into this program, unless you opt out. You're just going to be added to that automatically after 7 days of receiving the email. So Google does say, it'll be possible to opt out later at any point. So this is similar to what we have seen with suggested ads. So last year, the Google suggested ads feature was coming out. And those were things that you had to opt out of as well manually. And we certainly have mixed feelings about their auto-generated, or auto-applied ads. I've rarely have I run into it, especially with expanded text ads and testing multiple headlines and multiple descriptions. Have I rarely seen their ads, their suggested ads, perform better?
Nothing is profound. There's
no, nothing there lines up. So, so Pat, I guess what's your take on it before I kind of dig deeper into this?
First thought on it is the individual PPC account versus agency side for something like us that we have quite a few accounts under our umbrella. As the MCC, can we go and do like a blanket opt out for all the CIDs we manage, or do we have to go to every individual CID and opt out?
It'll be at the account. It'll basically be at the account level. So we'll have to go in and check at the account level what's going on there. So so basically, Google's saying, we're going to be messing with your accounts unless you tell us no otherwise. And so that's something that we're not real happy of there. And what they say that they're going to identify is they're going to identify key changes that can help you get more out of your ads, whether it's restructuring your ad groups, modifying your keywords, adjusting your bids, updating your ad text. Okay, those are all things that as PPC practitioners, and this is what all of us as paid search folks are doing on a regular basis. Or should be doing on a regular basis. So the question is Google, are they undercutting agencies and consultants? Google definitely has made a lot of changes in their relationships with, account reps and teams and things like that. So this is another interesting shift that they've decided to make. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I mean, obviously our immediate knee-jerk reaction is hell no. I don't want them doing that.
Right.
I mean, as we've held a Google partner status for a long time, and as a premier partner, that puts us in a completely different boat. And I don't want to. I'm not using our podcast as a means to kind of toot our own horn in that regard. It's just that we have expertise and knowledge, and also work alongside our Google team to continuously make those changes and recommendations. So we're kind of working in tandem and collaborating on those already.
Right.
I'm not really sure that I care for them doing this. Now, I haven't seen anything that says there's a threshold, or are they not going to touch them that are tied to MCC accounts like ours or any other agency? Nothing like that has really been stated yet. So I'm just not I'm not really sure how.
Yeah, their automated suggestions I think are far from great either, and I feel like the automation process needs a lot of work before it can be the whole opt-out thing.
Yeah, and Google even states, and says to advertisers that you as an advertiser are still responsible for the result of the campaign. Now, how can you really? So you're responsible for the results of the campaign, but then you're going under the watch of Google and what the team's telling you to make those changes.
Read between the lines. You have to save face with the client, but we're going to do the work, even if it's not good.
Right. So you still need to be monitoring these regularly and making sure what's happening, and you're making proper campaign adjustments and things like that. So this is an interesting move on Google's end. One that we're going to be watching.
When is that supposed to take effect?
Some of those notifications have already started to go out automatically. As of this morning, I haven't seen anything that said, we were gonna we were going to have that. And that, I would say, I'm looking back over the last week, we haven't seen anything that has jumped into any one of our accounts.
Yeah, we'll have to check that daily.
So, again, the thing to keep an eye out for there is, double check the email that's associated with your Google Ads account. If you are a PPC manager and you're operating through an MCC, I would certainly reach out to your clients and let them know that this is something that Google's piloting and pushing out, because that's very much the approach here. Is it's a pilot,
right?
Which, like any other Google pilot, it's not going to apply to everyone. So I would just want people to be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, definitely something to keep your eye on.
We've certainly seen it before where Google reps will get involved in, let's just say, high-profile brands. There's certain high-profile brands that they keep their finger on, and while you have a PPC expert involved there, you have to question, is it who benefits it, with it. Obviously, it's in the best interest of Google to get that advertiser to spend more, but those campaigns need to be successful so that the advertiser has trust in the platform to then spend more too. So I'm not sure where this is all going to go, but that certainly is a big point of contention right now in PPC land.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep it on Google Talk here.
Cool. We should just change this to Google Talk.
Google Talk. So this week a report came out by SparkToro and Rand Fishkin, and Search Engine Land pulled some data out of that specifically. So what Rand's report was on is the state of search and a lot of the stats between the U.S. and UK and how Google's being used versus other search engines and what user habits are and differences between desktop and mobile. And Search Engine Land specifically narrow that down to click-through rates or clicks or how that's being used. Have you seen any of this?
So I got the email. I'm on Rand's mailing list for SparkToro, and I got it, and I didn't get a chance to read all the way through it, other than I saw like data was from Jump Shot and things like that.
Right.
So there's certainly some trusted sources in here.
Sure. So the biggest takeaway I have from this is did a look back 2016 versus 2018, so a 2-year swing, and click-through rates on organic listings are slightly decreasing on desktop, but have dramatically decreased on mobile.
Dramatically decreased. Organic click-through rates.
Organic click-through rates, yeah. So so what we're talking about is the charts on here broke down to 3 categories. You have organic, paid, and no-click searches, meaning a Google product, one of their own Google-owned properties, like such as Google My Business, Google Maps, things of those natures. So basically, if you think about on your phone, you do a search in Google, you have the results, you have your paid listings, and then you have various Google listings, and then below that, you have your organic. So in the 2-year period, organic mobile searches, mobile clicks decreased 10.4%. So compared to desktop, that only decreased 2.3. So
what was the depth of the data set to?
I didn't look that far into it.
I'm just curious. And he might not. He might say, or he might follow it up.
Yeah, we can. It's via Jump Shot's panel of 100 billion searches.
Yeah, Jump Shot certainly has a legit data set that I know.
So that roughly 100 billion searches, I can't narrow it down further than that. But that's a pretty big search window to get the data out of.
So what do you think? What do you think is causing the drop in organic clicks? Right. We know that organic search in general is not dead. Right. Like SEO is not dead.
No.
We've seen referring patterns in the last year where social has completely decreased and search has grown again.
So that's my 2 takeaways out here. My notes are here. It's the exact opposite. It's search is not, or SEO is not dead. It's more important than it's ever been. So my first point on here, so we can't sit still working on older tactics as we always have.
Right.
The SEO world is becoming even more important in order to send value to our clients, and it's even more important for us to educate our clients on the importance of SEO and what SEO is. The second point, search world is evolving, and we're at a state right now where it's completely upside down. A 10% swing over 100 billion searches. That's pretty big. It's up to us to make sure that we're taking what our clients are selling, air quotes, and making sure that the end user knows how to buy it, air quotes. So, two things: we have to be smarter, and we can't just be set in our ways. We have to be diligent in finding new ways to keep up with the trends. Two, we have to make sure that we know our clients inside and out. We have to make sure we know the final user inside and out, and we have to make sure we're always connecting them. So the way I see it is a click through for a paid listing or a Google product is just as important, because it's still a tool being used. And the Google product, those searches that are no-click searches, are just as important, because if that gets used, it still sends signals back to your primary website. It's still telling Google that it's important. And granted, the user, it's their transaction in the term of a search transaction might end up being directions to your store. And then that store, they physically made a purchase, or they picked up the phone and called you. It's still ultimately leading towards the lead, and then it's up to you to close it. So it all is connected. It's not discouraging. It's an encouragement.
I do think too that you have, certainly in the mobile world, we know that depending on it, the highly commercialized searches, so high commercial intent, are going to be dominated by ads. You know, you're gonna get inundated with the ads. You're gonna have to swipe up in most or thumb up on most phones before you see a first organic listing. The other thing is we can sit here and say, wow, could this be because of voice search? You know, I think there's probably some of that to play. The other side of that is featured snippets. And separating those things out, is always a difficult task, as is explaining and educating brands on the importance of featured snippet. Depending on their industry and stuff, there can be importance there, because to your point 2 or 3 minutes ago, that Google is referencing your site possibly to pull that data in. So it's going to say, if you ask it a question and say, according to blacktruckmedia.com, gives me the answer, or whatever, or according to weatherchannel.com, today's weather is X, something like that. Those are all hypotheticals and not real things, but that is kind of an increasing and growing trend, is voice search, featured snippets, everything. Those have kind of been growing in tandem, and I think even probably if you read down into comments on Rand's post here, you'll probably see similar conversation being had. So,
yeah. So I don't see it as a discouragement. There wasn't a lot of change on the desktop side. So desktop organic clicks decreased 2.3%, while paid increased 1.4%, and no click increased just shy of 1%.
That's crazy.
The movement is larger on the mobile side. So mobile, as I said, organic decreased 10.4%, paid increased 5%, which is pretty notable, and no click increased 5.3%. So I support the mobile first index, because mobile is where people are adapting and evolving, and it's where people are using it. The intent on a phone search is always going to be different than the intent on a desktop search. There's no other way to say it. It's always going to be different. However, I think you can optimize your desktop experience still based on a mobile intent.
Well, and to your point about zero click or no click searches, there's a previous post, and we'll have to link to it. Rand did, I think, back in, this is October. So he's saying basically in the last 2.5 years, the mobile no-click or zero-click searches have grown 11%. So then the question is, does that offset that 10% decrease in those click-throughs? And then desktop no-click searches have grown by 9.5%. So basically what he said here in October is this, considering how aggressive Google has become with rich results, aka answers, featured snippets, things of that nature. So
we're feeding that from our websites, though.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. So it's interesting. We'll have to link back to that paid versus organic. What was your take on the market share, EU versus US, in terms of how much market share?
I didn't read that one. The search engine piece didn't focus on that side of it very much, and I started it because I found the search engine article first, and then went back to Rand's, and the in depth of it I did not take the time at that moment to reach about it. But it's saying like the market share, meaning percent to Google versus other users, and
specifically the one was Google's European monopoly. So a shrinking click through opportunity is that more or less, in the EU and the UK, 69.27% is Google, 68.3% is the United States. The funny thing is Google Images is 21.4% and 21.96%. So EU to US. So if you add, 68% and 21% up, they're on the same platform.
Yeah. Well, if you keep reading those down.
Google Maps.
You got Google Maps and then YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So the
you're
top
up to
four,
90+%.
Yeah, I think I saw something that U.S. Google is at 93% now.
Yeah.
So 93% of searches through a Google-owned property comes from Google.
Yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, I think for at least a good couple of years we've been referencing, Google's somewhere in the 85% range. No, they're much more than that.
Yeah, you according to both of these, Bing is the number 2, but 5th on the list because the first 4 are Google products.
Look at how much more YouTube is in prominence in EU than the US.
Yeah.
Almost a whole other point.
Yeah. So Bing UK is 0.72% of market share. And then in the U.S., Bing is 1.58% of market share.
Ooh. At what point does, I hate to say it, but like at what point are we going to see Amazon, because Amazon's in here, right?
Yep.
At what point are we going to see Amazon take over Bing?
Yeah, that's
and
an
the fact that we
question.
still have Yahoo in here as an engine and things like that, it's really fascinating to see those smaller. Take Google out of the equation. Look at those little verticals.
The intent in Amazon is so different. There's one intent in Amazon. You're researching shopping, whereas all these other search engines, it's lots of other things going on.
Very true. Very true. And for as much as people are worried about their privacy, DuckDuckGo is still this tiny.
DuckDuckGo tracks you. They're still doing it.
We can link back to a previous episode where we argued that whole point too. So, but really, I mean, it's a really good piece. I mean, I think it's fairly well written by Rand, and the data in there from Jump Shot is certainly very valuable. So, yeah, it's good stuff there. So, excellent. So, I guess as a recap, really. Unless you care about Google I/O or not, put that on your calendar. But you can certainly stream that if you don't get the invite. The other thing is, if you are managing paid search campaigns, just do keep in mind, be on the lookout for those emails. I wouldn't take that lightly. Excuse me, lightly. I wouldn't take that lightly. I would certainly be proactive about it. If you are actively managing your own campaigns, I wouldn't allow that myself, and I certainly wouldn't advise anybody else to do that. But we obviously have strong opinions on the matter as practitioners and strategists in the paid search world as well. So, and then, man, I think keeping tabs on not just your organic click-through rate, Pat, to your point. What if you continue to do the same thing that you always did, you're going to continue to get the same results or diminishing returns when it comes to organic search. To your point, SEO is not dead. it continues to evolve.
More important than ever.
And we have to, it's a constant moving target, and that's why it's going to become more important to continue to kind of wash, rinse, repeat, and coming up with the next level of strategies. So, cool. Awesome. Well, it's good to be back on the redirect and getting back into our weekly cadence here. So thank you, everyone, for being patient over the holidays, and we'll continue to do this and share more insights. So until next time, good luck.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.